G'day there guys, man in a floral shirt here to haunt your nightmares, back again with another episode of r/Am I the A-hole. Now if you think anyone is the a-hole in today's episode, I want you to let me know down in the comments, sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and have a bloody good one. Posted by user SpyDad Throwaway, titled, Am I the a-hole for installing a keylogger in my son's computer? I'm a single dad, 43 years old, computer programmer. My son, let's call him Jack, is 17 years old. Jack's mum died when he was 10, but thankfully we both handled our grief together quite well. When Jack got his first laptop, 5 years ago, I took my time explaining how the internet worked, the dangers, etc. I allowed him to create a social media account as long as he allowed me to check in on it whenever I wanted to, which was a privilege I made use of a few times until he turned 15 and I realized I could trust him, having never asked for it since then. He allowed me to know where he stored his account passwords just in case, but I never really looked for them, so his social media and computer activity have been a complete mystery to me in the last couple of years. However, I was always fearful he would try to hide something or get into something dangerous, so I installed a keylogger just in case, always thinking about his safety. I never had to use it, and the more I watched him grow up, I eventually realized I would never really use it, but I never bothered to remove it. My sister and I were talking about this in a casual conversation regarding privacy and privacy apps, and my niece overheard us. They were born the same year. She got offended I would do such a thing, claiming it was a horrible invasion of Jack's privacy and that I should be ashamed, and the only reason she hasn't told my son was because my sister told her she'd ground her for meddling in my parenting. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for having installed a keylogger even though I've never had to use it? You're the a-hole, no different than a mum threatening to read her teenage girl's diary. Your child is almost an adult now, so there is no need to threaten invasion of his privacy. This is a violation of trust between you and your son. Even if you don't use the keylogger, it's still hanging over his head if you use it against him. I don't understand your comment. He installed it when his son was 12. The internet is full of creeps, so of course as a parent, you should monitor what's going on during the use. The only fault I see, and that's what you said also, is that he should have taken it out when he became more mature. Also, he stated that he's never used it, and the son isn't aware. So it isn't like he's actually threatening to breach his privacy. He should definitely take it out ASAP though. Edit, no a-holes here, but you would be the a-hole if you didn't talk to your son ASAP and uninstall it. I'd be fudging mortified if I learned that my parents had been monitoring my activity like that. If I'd learned they'd done it at all, I would feel it an enormous violation and really struggle to trust them again. Honestly, I'd far rather be given a computer with a bunch of restrictions on it than one that was monitoring all my activity. I don't know how old you are, and at my age, 24, I agree that I would be mortified too. But he was 12 when it was installed. He was lucky to even have a computer and be left alone too. I feel like until 16ish, it's alright to have something like that on your child's computer. Seeing your comments, I feel like OP should have been clear that he installed it from the get-go. You were right that the son will likely be mortified, even if OP never checked. All in all, I think it was a good parenting move that wasn't done right. But he wasn't really alone. The ever-watchful eye of the keylogger was there the whole time, and without his knowledge. As opposed to Google, Facebook, TikTok, here, yeah, no one would have been keeping track on him if it wasn't for that pesky keylogger. Info. Did you install the keylogger when he was 11? If you installed it back then, not the a-hole. Tell your son and uninstall it. You were doing it for his safety. The number of abductions due to predators on the internet is scary enough, and most parents don't know anything or have a way to look for info. If you did it much more recently, you're the a-hole. Definitely tell your son and apologize and uninstall it. I installed it when he was 12, yes. I honestly never removed it because recently I'd kind of forgotten about it until this conversation with my sister. And since he's getting a new laptop in a few weeks anyway, I didn't want to bother with it. Then not the a-hole if you've never used it. Just don't install it on the new laptop that he gets. Reddit is going to crucify you for this one overwhelmingly, but you are not the a-hole here. It is entirely reasonable to monitor your kids' online activities and necessary to keep them safe, especially at 12 to 15. You should have removed it when you no longer intended to use it, but that's about all. Good job teaching your son about internet safety. Yes, and he had the discipline to not snoop and trust his son, but it was always there if something happened and he needed to use the information. Of course, this kid is about to be a man, and the keylogger should go now. Posted by user Not Trying to Be Paz, titled, "Am I the a-hole for saying, what did she expect? Well, my girlfriend told me her best friend's affair partner has vanished into thin air when she told him she was pregnant. I've been with my girlfriend coming up to 1 year now. Her best friend has been having a 3-month affair with a married man. She knows he is married. She found out she was pregnant a month back, and he has completely disappeared into thin air. He has blocked or deleted her from Tinder, and she never got his real name. They both went by aliases, and now she is desperately searching for him on Facebook, but nothing even in the ballpark has come up. The guy offered her abortion money and offered to go with her. She refused because she has a 3-year-old and she wants a sibling for her baby. I can't say I didn't see him disappearing. He's a piece of crap coward for having an affair in the first place, and so of course he's gonna abscond from a pregnancy from his side chick too. From my perspective, it's fairly obvious he was using my girlfriend's friend, and she should have either known that or have been prepared to deal with the consequences. My girlfriend is very worried about her friend, and keeps talking to me about it and asking what I think, even though I made it clear I don't approve of either of their trashy behaviors. I told her, well, what does she expect? She keeps asking me if I think, as a man, is it possible he will come back? I said, hell no. Sometimes, especially within the context of a couple talking, let's be frank, we won't always be politically correct. She flipped her crap and said that my attitude towards her pregnant friend is misogynistic and I'm being heartless. I don't think I am, and I feel I'm allowed to have an obvious opinion such as that. Not the a-hole. It doesn't take a man to see that he's not coming back. What did she expect him to do? Leave his partner for her when they didn't even tell each other their actual names? I think him offering to pay for an abortion was a clear, not very subtle hint that he wants nothing to do with the child, and in extension, her if she has the child. I feel sorry for the unborn child. Her toddler does not have a dad in his life either. Just sad. She's a very educated and successful lady, not saying she's struggling, but it's good for kids to have both parents where possible. Both have failed this kid before it's even out of the womb yet, in my opinion. When her children ask about the gaping hole of love in their hearts, about how they wish they had a father, the mum can talk about how she's a strong woman who don't need no man. How did this woman not learn from being a single mother the first time? She wants a sibling like it's a fudging pet or something. I would personally consider it a major red flag if I was dating someone who thought it was misogynistic for you to speak harshly of the consequences of a marital affair. Shows that she doesn't take the boundaries of a relationship as seriously as you do. And also, her willingness to use feminist buzzwords to protect her friend's selfish behavior shows a lack of commitment to real ethical principles. If opposing misogyny was actually important to her, she wouldn't be slinging this accusation around like that. You can tell a lot about someone by the company they keep. Don't let this argument fizzle out. Reach a point where you understand what's causing her to react this way, and then decide if she's still a good candidate for a possible marriage someday. Not the a-hole. She knew what she was getting into, and you're being honest. I get it's her friend, but that's no excuse for her behavior. Yeah, I asked my girlfriend to consider how it would look if my best friend was knowingly engaging in cheating and helping a woman cheat. I don't want her to stop hanging out with her friend just because I said so, but it doesn't sit right with me. Hey OP, I just want to point out that your girlfriend is avidly defending a knowing homewrecker and seeking revenge on an uninvolved and misfortunate wife. These aren't really good morals to go by if you're in a relationship. I feel like you should really consider if you're serious about your girlfriend, even if you think she'd never do that to you. Edit. Homewrecker is someone who deliberately involves themselves, romantically or sexually, with someone who's committed. Don't know why there's confusion on this. It doesn't shift blame away from the cheater. It's just a name for a cheatee. And I tend to read OP's comments if he or she has any extra info. And it's in one of the comments he mentioned his girlfriend wants to seek revenge on the wife, unless I got that wrong somehow. Not the a-hole. Cold but truthful. Sounds like she was a bit naive. People don't use aliases to cover themselves, but then magically come to the light when there's a pregnancy. She wants to find the wife also for revenge. She asked my girlfriend to help. She asked other friends of hers to help also. I think it's getting messy, as of course it would. At this point, you need to ask yourself, are you okay with your girlfriend being friends with a homewrecker? She knew the guy was married and still went for it. There's a high probability she wants revenge more than her child. Edit, elaborating the reasons why. Twisting the narrative to fit her friend's story into making you the misogynist and heartless one is a major red flag. Your girlfriend knows the whole situation, yet you somehow became the a-hole, in her eyes, despite her asking for your opinion. These are red flags, OP. Good luck, not the a-hole. And for all you commenters, I think this is a genuine red flag. So there have been a lot of, false red flags. To me, this looks like a real red flag, and I would run for the hills. Posted by user altaccount345. Titled, Am I the a-hole for cussing at my mother-in-law after she banned my 5-year-old daughter from her house? I have a 5-year-old daughter named Colette. Ever since she was born, my mother-in-law called my daughter Letters as a nickname, because Colette ends in let, I'm guessing? It's not the greatest nickname in the world, but I let it go. The other day, my daughter randomly said, "Why does Grandma call me Letters? My name is Colette." I told her, "It's her nickname for you." "That's weird. Do you not like being called Letters?" "Not really. It's okay to tell Grandma that you want to be called Colette instead of Letters." Colette went to my mother-in-law's house today. My husband dropped her off and picked her up, so I didn't see my mother-in-law at all that day. That night, I get a call from my mother-in-law. She tells me that it was really rude for Colette to say she didn't like her nickname, and that I shouldn't have told her to say that. She said I was raising her to be bratty. She also said that Colette couldn't come over until she apologized, and says that she likes being called Letters. That last part ticked me off. I told her, "What the hell? You're banning a 5-year-old from your house for not liking a stupid nickname." Then I hung up on her. Am I the a-hole for using that kind of language with my mother-in-law? Not the a-hole. I'm honestly just sort of in disbelief your mother-in-law could be old enough to be a grandma and act like that. I'm not. My parents are in their 70s and act like bloody school children most of the time. Absolutely petty and spiteful, and will try to get revenge for even minor perceived slights. They manipulate, use guilt, fear, and lies to get their way, and make people do what they want. Some people are just wired differently, and think pulling stunts like that, and what OP's mother-in-law is doing, is perfectly normal. The part about the granddaughter having to say she likes the name is hugely telling. So she wants the kid to lie and pretend she likes a nickname she doesn't, so mother-in-law can have her ego soothed, as she thinks it is a brilliant nickname. Did your parents become this way in their old age, or were they always kinda like that? I think they stopped mentally maturing as teenagers and have been like that since. They have almost no friends and put on a different act/face when in public or in front of people they don't want to know the crazy. So they know it's wrong, but just do not care. If they thought their behavior was okay, they would not act so vastly different. You would think they were different people. $5 Foot Job says, "Not the a-hole. Good for you for teaching your daughter to stand up for herself and for doubling down by standing up for her. Mother-in-law needs to apologize to the 5-year-old for not respecting her name request. And no, screw your mother-in-law. You just dropped an F-bomb and that's alright. If you really feel bad about your language, you could call her back to apologize for only that and say that you thought it over and do not want her to see her granddaughter until she apologizes and respects your daughter's wishes and boundaries, and that you don't feel comfortable with someone who belittles a child. OP could be petty and give her an unpleasant nickname just to hammer the point home. Like, address her as Monster-in-law, then be like, "What? It's a nickname, don't be a brat, and apologize to me now and say you like it." Probably a bad idea, but I'm pretty sure after telling her to get well and truly screwed, that would be what I would do. I'm okay with assigning a nickname to Monster-in-law. She doesn't seem to understand the dislike of a nickname. Show her. Time for your husband to involve himself. You and Colette have done nothing wrong, assuming Colette wasn't actually rude in how she spoke to your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law, on the other hand, has overreacted. I'm guessing she was embarrassed when Colette told her to knock it off a lot, and now your husband has to become involved to advocate for his wife and daughter. It's his mum, so his responsibility to intervene, not the a-hole. This is a really valid and important point about the husband needing to be involved. I mean, even if Colette sounded slightly rude when saying it, she's freaking 5 years old. The grandma sounded like the 5-year-old here, throwing a fit when people don't agree with her. I mean, if she'd rather have no granddaughter, then so be it. Posted by user throwaway234567889, titled, Am I the a-hole for expecting my frontline doctor wife to split household chores with me 50-50? I am an IT professional currently working from home, and my wife is an ER doctor working on the front line. We try to work the same hours, so I don't see why this should be different just because I'm at home and she isn't. She, on the other hand, comes home, gets annoyed when some chores aren't done, and then gets even more annoyed when I point out that if she doesn't feel like doing them after her work, why would she assume I would after mine? Is it fair that the household chores are 50-50, or should I be doing more because I'm working from home? You're the a-hole. I was an ER doctor until COVID, where I have had to work from home. Let me tell you, there is no comparison. In the ER, you are running around all day chasing patients, blood tests, scans, colleagues, as well as having to deal with real emergencies. It's 1,000,000% times more physical and mental efforts than any job I could imagine you doing from home. Seriously, buck up and do more work at home. Yeah, oh my gosh. My partner is also in the medical field, and her already demanding job went to a new level during COVID-19. While we were in lockdown and had hours more free time working from home, I handled, I want to say, 90% of the chores around the house. I wouldn't want to do that forever, but acknowledging when your girlfriend is getting smashed and trying to help, that's just being in a relationship. Agreed, you're the a-hole. Opie, does your IT job put your life and those around you at risk? Is your job as life-threatening and mentally taxing? Try to have more compassion and don't let your work and your workload blind you about her perspective and her situation. I understand that you want things to be fair, but you also both should be trying to make things easier for each other in this relationship. Step up if you can, and you'll find that making her happy will feel and be rewarding. You're the a-hole. Doing 8 hours in the comfort of your own home is a lot easier than 8 hours of working, plus daily commute, plus working on the front line as a doctor during a global pandemic. You should be doing more than half the chores. He gets to sit down all day. That alone should be enough. How many minutes does she get to sit down during her shift? And then there's also the death and tragedy. And probably gets to go to the bathroom when he wants, or eat lunch. If he encounters a problem, he can stop and think about it for a while, Google around a bit, talk to his co-workers, and maybe even do a backup, try a few things and roll back if it doesn't work. ER docs have to make decisions now, drawing from amassed knowledge and experience. No time to check the internet or talk through it over coffee, and if they make the wrong decision, people die. Posted by user, Problem with my sister, titled, Am I the a-hole for firing my sister after seeing her blog and not rehiring her without an apology? Basically, what happened is, I read my sister's blog. It was sent to me by a friend of mine who was asking if one of the characters was me. Spoiler alert, it was me. It's a couple of years old and really popular. She doesn't use your family's real names, but they are very similar and use the same first letter. So think real names like Katie, Julia, and Marissa, and Brad, then the fake names being Kathy, June, Maureen, and Bob. It's descriptive enough of our lives and what we do for work that my friend identified me from it. It's mostly about her and her life, but there is still a lot about us. A year ago, I had an abortion. It was during the lowest point in my life so far, and only she and my husband knew about it. She swore to me that she would take the secret to her grave. Yeah, she dedicated a whole entry to it. A couple months ago, she and her husband got laid off due to world events. I run my own business that wasn't really affected, and I offered her a job there to help her out. She's not qualified in my field, so I essentially made up a position for her so she could have a steady paycheck. She basically does data entry and other random tasks online from her home. Her blog since then has basically centered on how much she hates it. She called it demeaning work and says a bunch of bullcrap about how I obviously don't respect her intelligence. I say this is bullcrap because 1. She would need years of training to work any of the open positions. 2. I told her what she would do when I offered it, and she gushed about how grateful she was that I was really helping her. I called her and told her what I had read, and how hurt I was. Her defense is that the blog is her online diary where she vents, and that I should know not to take any of it personally. She actually had the gall to tell me that she is hurt that I read it. Apparently the right thing to do was ignore it. I told her off for telling the internet my secrets and dragging me online where I could be, and was, found by people who know me. She just said she did all her due diligence by changing the names, and it wasn't her fault my friend found it. We argued for a bit, it got increasingly heated, and I fired her. I told her that if she couldn't apologize or see how she was wrong here, then she wasn't who I thought she is, and she could find a job where she felt more respected. It's been a week and I haven't spoken to her at all. Her husband has been contacting me on her behalf, trying to get her job back as they need the money. He claims she is sorry, but I think if she was, then she could tell me herself. My own husband is telling me I am overreacting, and that she's family and I should just forget it, but I don't agree. Am I the a-hole here? TLDR, Sister drags me and reveals my secrets on her blog, and I fire her. Am I the a-hole? Edit/update. After reading a lot of the responses, I have become more and more sickened by this situation. I sent my sister an email detailing how much damage this is doing to me emotionally and could do to me financially and professionally. In the email, I am asking her to delete all entries in the blog that include private details about me, my business, or our family. I am giving her an ultimatum. She can do as I asked, delete the entries, and I will consider it water under the bridge. We can move on with our lives and try to repair our relationship, or she can continue to ignore me, keep her blog, and can consider me out of her life. We can see each other at family events and keep things civil, but I will no longer share my life with her. She won't be an aunt to my future children or a real sister to me. I'll update if and when she responds. Edit/update 2. She replied to my email asking me to FaceTime her tomorrow. She wants to talk to me after we both had the night to cool down. I agree with her as I am pretty heated right now. We'll update after our talk. Thank you to everyone for the support. Has really opened my eyes to the gravity of the situation. Final update. I talked to my sister early this morning. We had a really productive conversation. I won't go into too much detail since it was a long and emotional call. The reason she had not reached out during the week we weren't talking was a bit surprising. It turns out her husband knew about the blog, but had never read it at her request. After our blow-up, he wanted to see what had made me so upset. She allowed him to read some of the entries, and he ended up siding with me. There was also some information on him and his family that he was upset about, so they were having a separate fight about that. I guess my email to her put into perspective to her how much damage her blog and the information she shared there could affect others. Just no mother-in-law, She showed me over the video chat that she actually deleted the whole thing. She told me that the blogging started out as a place to vent, but when it got more popular, people started emailing her asking for updates on certain characters, i.e. her family, and she started seeing hundreds of comments. She became obsessed with it basically. She apologized for sharing my secrets and for being ungrateful about the job. She claims that she was exaggerating in the blog to get some more views and likes, and I can see that. Our relationship is damaged, but not beyond repair. She is not coming back to work for me. Instead, I am just sending them a small amount of money to help cover their rent. It's not as much as she was making, but I really do love her, and I still want to help her. Once one of them gets a job, they will get back on their feet. This way, they at least have less stress. Once things start to reopen in our area, she promised to set up a regular therapy appointment where she can vent all she wants and get actual advice, as well as help for what she described as a blogging addiction. I want to thank everyone for the comments. Some of them were harsh and some of them were crazy, but it helped me to figure out how I actually felt about the situation. I am planning to delete the original and this post in a day or two, so it will be fair for the both of us. Not the a-hole. A blog isn't a diary, it's on the internet where it can be read by anyone with a URL. She clearly didn't change details enough to make the people unidentifiable because someone did identify you. And even if she had, she doesn't get to post about your own personal events without your consent and then be surprised you're not happy about that. At the end of the day, to employ her, you have to trust her, and she's shown you that you can't do that. She's also being incredibly ungrateful for the opportunity when people would kill to have a job that readily available right now, so frankly, she's lying in the bed she made. She also can't really expect an apology to be taken seriously if she delivers it by proxy. If she's truly sorry, she needs to come to you herself and say that. What this post is really making me realize is how screwed I am if any of my other employees or competitors find her blog. You're right, it's on there forever now. Not only my abortion, which a competitor could use to hurt my business, but my whole life from her perspective. I just can't believe she doesn't see how it affects me. The friend who sent it to me isn't even a close friend, just an old high school friend. She now knows about my darkest secret, some embarrassing stories from my childhood that involved my sister, my parents' marriage issues, how I met my husband, and so much more. I just feel so sick right now. Exactly. Your sister hasn't just vented some stuff online, she's caused some very real and very alarming potential risks to you and your business, and she can't even see it. You were absolutely right to fire her for doing what she did, OP. Posted by user King Ding Gadong, titled, Am I the A-hole? Having a baby and not telling my wife. I've been married for 18 years. We've got 5 kids. Oldest is 17, youngest is 1. 21 years ago, I hooked up with this chick. The condom broke, she said she was on the pill, paid for her plan B, she told me she was pregnant about 4 months later. I paid her to get an abortion and said I was with someone and wasn't leaving. I found out 2 years later she kept it, but said I wanted nothing to do with the kid or her. My new girlfriend heard rumors and said she'd leave me if true. I lied, said it wasn't. Well now, many years later, one of my kids did a fudging DNA heritage test and found a half-sibling who she wants to connect with. Needless to say, wife isn't happy. I never cheated on her and never was anything but a good husband. This was something that happened before we were together. I would have loved to have something to do with this kid growing up, but didn't want to risk losing my wife, so was gutless. I feel like what I did while was only an a-hole to the kid, although dishonest to wife, it was for a good reason. Now she's saying I've ruined her life. If she knew I'd had kids with someone else, she'd never have had kids with me. TLDR, some chick lied to me, said she got rid of kid, took money, didn't do crap. The kid turned up, current wife, no happy. So, am I the a-hole? Additional info, prior to meeting my wife, I was a pretty heavy drug user. Didn't give a frick about my life, and made plenty of bad life choices daily as I had no intention of being here. I hated myself and didn't want kids as I didn't think I deserved them. By the time I met my wife, I had OD'd 3 times. After I met her, I went full clean. Haven't used since, and she gave my life meaning. Was 16 when the child was born. In what world would you not be the a-hole? You got someone pregnant, just told them to get an abortion, find out she still had the kid and still wouldn't help out. You lied to someone else so they would stay with you, knowing damn well the thing you did was a deal breaker. Your entire marriage and family is based on a lie, so yeah, you're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. You abandoned your kid and lied to your wife. How could you not be the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You're taking absolutely no responsibility for your role in procreating with this chick. You also intentionally told your new girlfriend of the time that the rumors were untrue, i.e., you lied. You say that you would have loved to have something to do with this kid growing up, but didn't want to risk losing your wife, so was gutless. But you also knew about the child prior to being married to your wife. You weren't gutless, you were an a-hole and apparently still are. Edits, I just want to point out that OP states that he gave the chick money for plan B and an abortion, but he never said that he actually talked to her and asked her what she wanted. Perhaps she was telling him the whole time that she wanted to keep the child, and he said he had no money and threw money in her face. Perhaps OP can offer some more insight, but if she clearly wanted to have the child from the beginning, then that was her right. She apparently never filed for support from him, so she was okay with raising the child by herself. You're the a-hole. The lie wasn't for a good reason. It was so you could get what you wanted, which was the relationship. That's called manipulation. Your wife probably is wondering what else you might have kept from her over the years because of this. The amount of time you've been a good husband or father doesn't somehow cancel out this betrayal of trust. It just makes all of these good years suspect. G'day there guys, Outro Markee here. Hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it today. If you did, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Tell me what you thought about it down below. Also, if you like memes, be sure to head on over to my second channel, AmITheA. It should be one of the sexy Australian faces on screen, the one without the flag. It's my latest and greatest creation, and I hope you like it. Also, I'd like to give a huge shout out to my channel members and Patreon subscribers. You guys do so much good for me, and the support goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I love you guys, and I appreciate all the help and support you provide me on this channel. Also, if you want to join the family, links are down in the description below, or click that join button next to the subscribe button. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed that one today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!